good questions for both Courtney and Tom at the end of their sessions.
Thank you for having me. First of all, I have to say, I'm very impressed already. Just one, how you all just look and present yourself, but also giving up a Sunday or weekend to come here to learn, to better yourself. It's huge, and you're really investing in the future, and that's going to show. Whether you know what you want to do today, whether you make the money you think you want to make, it's going to show, and it's going to prove itself worthy in your life. So please, I want to clap for you guys. So clap for yourselves, actually. So, like, I'm Courtney Brown, and I work for Habitat for Humanity. Many of you know about Habitat. Many of you have come through, whether you've worked at the Restore, helped gravel at a site this summer, or you've just heard us talk. We've been at Epic. We've been at all kinds. There's a few faces in here that I recognize. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the career aspect of Habitat. There are two myths that I want to debunk today. One is that if you work in nonprofit, because it's a heart thing, you don't have to have business sense. You have to have great business sense to work in nonprofit. And then the other myth is that because you're in for-profit, you don't have a heart and it's all business. Really, any work that you end up doing, whether it's nonprofit, for-profit, healthcare, whatever, it should still be done with a heart and with a head. You need to have business sense, and you need to have a heart for what it is that you do, okay? Those are very important, because when I tell people I work for Habitat, their first reaction is, oh, bless your heart, how sweet. As if I don't have to know certain things, I don't have to have business sense or run our company or help run our company in a way that a for-profit company would run, okay? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my path to nonprofit work. And I wish I had something really beautiful for you, but that's just not the truth. I did not come out of high school seeking nonprofit sector. I definitely wasn't doing what you all are doing and taking an active interest in what it is I was going to do. Someone planted a seed in my head when I was in 8th grade. You should be a dentist because dentists can make a lot of money and you can work really great hours as a woman. You can have a family and you can make money. And my 14-year-old brain was like, that's it. That is what I will do, and this is what I'll pursue. Because at the time, my mind was more about stability of life than actually what it was that I was going to do. So those are two things I really cared about. So I said, I'm going to do this. So I went through college. I went to St. Thomas Aquinas. And then I went to college at Baldwin Wallace. It was college then, it's university now. And I got a degree in chemistry. So I am a chem major and a bio minor. And so throughout college, I have a type of brain that works in chemistry. I can't say that I was the best student, but I certainly wasn't the worst student. I did well. But it was my junior year that I joined a sorority, and I became the president of that chapter, and we were public service oriented. And so for the first time in my path in education, I was exposed to a sector that really connected with me. And it wasn't about stability, and it wasn't about money, and it wasn't about status. It was about, wow, I really care about this. And there's something that feels different. I care about engaging with the community and helping them have resources. So at that point, I did what was responsible, and I kept my major because I was all the way in. I did not change my major. I wish I could tell you at that time I had a change of heart. No, I wanted to get out before. I'm just going to be honest with you. So I continued on with my chem major, and what I did was I took everything that I learned through college to help me then pursue a career elsewhere. And so I came out of college and I went into healthcare administration because it was the job that was available at the time. But then at the same time I was doing ministry at my church. And I said, you know, God, there's something else for me. I was working in children's ministry, and I would see these families, they would come to me, and they didn't have food, or they didn't have transportation, and they didn't have housing. And they would come and I would teach their children, and as they would leave, I would say, well, what happens to them now, God? What is it that I can do? I feel like I'm not doing enough. And that's when I began to pray for purpose and a place to be, and asking God to give me the opportunity to do something. And you don't have to get paid to do it, but you also can. It was one of those things that, Lord, let my occupation be my vocation. But, say if I did have a career in what I like, I could still go do volunteer work and I could still do those things. So please don't feel like you're any less of a person because you like what sector you're in. Go and volunteer. Go and give your time, talent, and treasure to other places. But at that time in my life, I was asking God to give me a vocation and an occupation that collided. And so what happened is I stumbled upon Habitat for Humanity, and it was the perfect mixture of my administrative brain, business sense, and then my desire to help the community, the heart part. And I use that every day. So here's a few things, and I'm going to do more questions, but I just want to give you some foundational principles here. I love this quote. It says, what I am doing, how am I being as I'm doing it? And does it bring honor to my community? What is the lesson in what I am doing? And most importantly, am I having fun? That's a quote that I think can just go to anything that you do. What are you doing? Do you ever ask yourself that? Sometimes I do. Maybe I'm just a crazy member, but I have to ask myself, what are you doing? Better than that, how are you being while you're doing it? Because that's just as important. And, does it bring honor to my community? Okay? What am I learning from every day? What am I learning from what I'm doing? And most importantly, do I even like what I do? Because, people can see that. People aren't dumb. They know if you like it, and they know if you care. So you've got to ask yourself, do I really care? You can't really fake the funk in nonprofit. You can't. Because people want to be invested, and they're going to be invested if you're invested. So if this is something you don't care about and it's nonprofit, then consider another way. Consider something else. There are many nonprofits out there, okay? So the first thing is, what are you doing? Every nonprofit and every for-profit company has a vision. It's the big picture, it's the one line, what is the vision? That's the first thing you have to align yourself with when you're working in a nonprofit. Do I care about the vision? And it's not saying that you don't care, but you have to care enough to give of yourself completely to it. Okay, the purpose. And then of course the mission is how you plan to get the vision done. Those are two huge principles when you're working in nonprofit. What's the vision and what's the mission? Okay? Every person in nonprofit should be able to tell you that quickly. That's the first thing you know. What's the vision? And I'm a Bible reader, so I kind of like to put scriptures to help align to what I'm talking about. But in the Bible, it says, write the vision, make it plain on tablets so that it may run who reads it. Write the vision, make it plain. You have to work under a vision that is clear. You ever hear people like, you don't really know what they stand for, but they kind of talk about it a lot? It cannot be questionable what the vision is. It has to be plain and it has to be clear. And it helps you know the who and the what and the why. That's what vision tells you. So the vision of Habitat for Humanity, very quickly, is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. One line. Now I can give a whole talk about Habitat, how it works, the people we serve, but at the end of the day, if I have 20 seconds, that's it. A world where everyone has a decent place to live. It's simple, it's challenging, and it's great. And we probably won't attain it in the next 30 years or 40 years. It's a large goal, but that's the vision. You got it? You guys with me? I'm just talking about the vision. Okay, I see you right now. And then there's the mission. Characteristics of the mission, the how. It supports the vision. A lot of people have a vision. But then it takes a great organization to say, how do we plan to get it done? I can have visions for all kinds of things. I'm sure, there's so many companies and so many people who can say, I want this to happen. It would be really cute for me to be up here and say, yeah, we want a world where there's a decent place to live. And someone says, okay, so how are you going to do that? And I say, I didn't think about that. Then how can you get behind something like that? You need to get behind someone with a plan. And so, nonprofit, huge with having a plan. And here's the mission of Habitat. Real quick, what's the vision of Habitat? Someone tell me. We have the tagline, this is how we plan to have it happen. Seeking to put God's love into action, Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, community, and hope. That's how you do it. We're saying we want a place where people have a decent place. How do we plan to do it? With God's love. We're bringing people together. We're building communities, homes, and most importantly, we're building hope. That's how you do it. That's the mission, okay? Okay, so we're over what are you doing? We know what you're doing. Let's talk about how you are being. Attitude is everything. I'm sure your leaders here talk to you about that all the time. Attitude is everything. If I'm excited about what we do, it gets people excited about what we do, okay? If I'm downtrodden, then the people that we serve will be downtrodden. It all trickles from the top. Whatever happens to the head happens to the body. So as a leader, as an employee, as a consistent volunteer, you have the attitude that sets the tone for your organization. And I think one of the most important things is integrity. Now, I don't care what you do. Integrity is important. But let me tell you why it's important in nonprofit. Because you're soliciting funds for people. See, nonprofit thrives off donors, off volunteerism. If I'm asking you for $1 million, Estlin? Okay, Estlin, I'm asking you for $1 million. And I say, you know, we're building 2 homes, we're building a whole neighborhood of houses. We need $1 million from your organization, we're gonna get this done. But I show up late, I never return your emails. I come up here any kind of way. I have no proof of where we plan to put the money. Are you gonna give me that $1 million? Okay, great. Integrity is huge because you're asking people to invest their time and their talent and their treasure in something. So how you present yourself, how you present the vision, how you work is important. Don't be late. I mean, I saw all the things that don't require talent that you guys had on here. I'm sure you guys go through that a lot. That's huge. Because if I don't get this $1 million, 20 families don't get houses to live in. So yes, it does matter about my presentation. It does matter about how I care. It does matter about how I solicit funds and dollars. Okay? And being able to give that mission and vision to you properly, because that's how nonprofits function. Does that make sense for you? It's a no-brainer to say integrity, but it's definitely important when you're a nonprofit. Okay? If I am telling, if we go through it and he does give me $1 million to build these homes, and I say this project will be done in 5 years, and it's year 12, and he hasn't seen one house. That's bad integrity. Not being straight up with people, not telling them that, you know, we're on delay, or, you know, being sketchy about money, being sketchy about mission. It doesn't work in nonprofit because you thrive off the donations of other people. Okay? Also, professional will and personal humility. Very important. In all sectors of work, but definitely nonprofit. You're going to have to step aside because sometimes that corner office that many people think they're going to get is not happening. Sometimes you will run. I have a great position, and 2 weeks ago I ran the front desk at our organization. Answered phones, cleaned out the refrigerator. Sometimes in nonprofit, because of funding, you have a smaller staff, and you have to wear multiple hats, and you cannot be prideful in your work. You've got to get the job done. It's about the mission. It's about the vision. So if it requires you to, for all hands on deck, for everybody to clean the office that day, you can't be the person saying, well, that's not what I was hired for. No, it's all about the mission. It's all about the vision. You have to be humble. And the mission has to matter more than your personal will. And that's hard sometimes, but it's true. Okay? Any questions with that? You good? Does it bring honor to your community? All nonprofits, in certain ways, different ways, bring honor to the community. Maybe it's the community you live in. Maybe it's a community that you don't. But the goal is that everything that we're doing, I know for sure what Tom is doing is bringing honor to your community. And you got to ask yourself, is this a mission that brings honor to my community and what I'm doing? want to have lasting results. You want to have community partnerships. How you work with other people. How you partner with other people. Very important, because you're going to need them. You are focused on one mission, but there are other organizations that have other missions, and it takes many missions to make a community grow. So you have to be able to work with people, a lot of people, and get invested in what they're doing and know how it can help what you're doing. Also, there's a thing in nonprofit that I want to be honest with you about. There comes a time, mind the way, please, where helping hurts. People think that give is good nonprofit ministry. No. Sometimes good ministry is saying we can't. No. Because what will happen is you will exhaust all your resources. I hate when we have to deny families for home ownership. I really, really do. But back to integrity. If they're not able to afford a Habitat house and they would like to live for free, that guy that gave me $1 million did not invest in that. He invested in families who will purchase their homes. So as much as I love every applicant that comes through our doors, sometimes you have to say no. And having a big, good heart is not where it ends. Like I said, you have to have a brain, and you have to work hard, and you have to really think about your mission. And sometimes it's painful. When you're a nonprofit, I'm sure Tom could speak to this too, you see so much need. We work in housing. I work in housing, but I see hunger. I see homelessness. I see all kinds of things. I see parenting. I see mental illness. I see aging in place. I see all of that, but that's not Habitat's mission. And that's why you partner with other good organizations, because you can't do it all. And that's so hard, and that's a lesson I'm still learning. It's very difficult. Be focused on your mission doesn't mean you don't care about others, okay? What's the lesson? What are you learning? Nobody has arrived. Nobody. I don't care how long you've worked. I don't care if you're upon retirement. Nobody has arrived. The day that you stop taking lessons from your work is probably the time you need to go. Look for the lessons. How am I growing as a person? Okay, how am I growing as a professional, relationally, spiritually? Okay? Why is my organization making me a better person? Because if I'm a better person, then that's going to trickle down into my work. So how has being in this nonprofit helped you become a better person? Is it growing you professionally? Because at the end of the day, you have to have hard skills. You do. You have to be able to do certain things. Am I growing as a professional? Has my presentation become better? Has my communication become better? Am I writing better letters? Am I drafting better things? Am I building better things? That's important. Spiritually, for me, is important. Now, every nonprofit's not a Christian organization. Habitat happens to be one. But I have to look inward so much about what I really care about. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm an administrative person. So I am a T crosser and an I dotter. So I like when things are done well, done quickly. And sometimes when you're working in a nonprofit, because we're in the people business, it doesn't happen that way. Your schedule, I'm a person who has a checklist every day. It doesn't always work out that way. And you have to check yourself about what you're really doing. Because I could actually get aggravated, and I'm being transparent with you because I don't want to lie to you. I can get aggravated when a family's late for a class because we start on time, and I didn't hear the fact that their car broke down. That is what I'm talking about when you have to look inward. Because if I didn't hear what the real problem was, I was too concerned about my list. In a nonprofit, you get that a lot. You get people, there are no black and white, there's a lot of gray areas. And you have to be flexible enough and humble enough to work through those gray areas. And that's difficult for some of us. For me, it is. And so that's what I mean by spiritually. I had to check myself. I had to ask God for help and patience to work through some of those things. Are you having fun? Every day at work, love what I do. And you can have a hard week and still love what you do and have fun with what you do. And that's what I get to experience at Habitat, that if I had a hard week, the day that, that family got those keys, or the family said, you know what, finally I made a budget. I've never had a budget in my life, and I started doing a budget. I had a family text me and tell me, the new Jordans came out, and guess what, I didn't go get them. That's when I go home and I say, I love my job. Because there's a principle that we plant in them that they're going to use for the rest of their lives. And that's huge. Okay? So that's all I have for you. I have questions if you're up for any questions.
Question holder.
I'm both, so, we talking about
Hold it in, Brianna, until it comes on.
Hello? Alright.
Where it is.
That's. We were talking about donors, like how do you go by getting a donor? You go like basically off like with the messages for like with the nonprofit, or is it kind of like you'll see who's donated to like recent companies or like who you know for local connections, or how do you go by getting donors just for Habitat? I think it's probably different for JRC, so I'll ask you the same question when we get there too.
Right. I think one of the best things that we've done is become very relational. We believe that this mission, that if anybody can really hear it full out, that they're on board, because we love it like that. We're sold out on this mission. So if we just get the opportunity to share it with people, then the money will come, okay? And so having a genuine relationship with people is huge. Connections, going out into the field and just talking about your mission, because that's what's going to attract people. And really, characteristics of a person and personality, that plays out, because Habitat for Humanity has to last long after Courtney Brown or our executive director Beth Leckner. It can't just be about a personality. It has to be about the mission. So you just build those relationships with people, and then when you have a need, be honest with people. Donors like your honesty. You don't have to be covert in the way that you need money. Share the vision, and hopefully they'll take heed to that, and then give them proper options to give. It's great. It's a great thing. Great question.
Who else?
Is anyone even thinking about going into the nonprofit sector? Okay. You are? Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah. It's not, I hope I'm not speaking out of school here. You have to find your place on this earth. I am still journeying to find that. I want to get up here and tell you that I have answers for you, but all I'm doing is presenting where I'm at in my personal life. You have to find what God has placed you on this earth to do. And there's so much potential in this room that it just makes me so excited. So I wish I could tell you I have all answers in that. I'm sold out about Habitat. I'm not mad if you're not. That's cool too. But whatever it is that you are asked and called to do, just do it with excellence. And you will have your place on earth, and you will leave a great legacy. And it doesn't have to be for nonprofit, although it's a good thing to do. So.
Any other questions? No?
Yes, Rachel.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I have a question pertaining to your job in particular with the degree you got in college. Your job now, do you find yourself relying on your degree, or is your degree just something that you have that doesn't really relate to your job right now? And
You gotta shout.
some advice for people who want to get a degree in college, maybe for nonprofit, what would you maybe recommend?
Yeah, so there's some colleges that have specific degrees. You can do all kinds of things, psychology, you can do business. Business is not a bad thing to do. Going to school for any type of business is pretty good to go into nonprofit because you need to have that. For my job personally, I don't use chemistry at all. But what I do use is every lesson that I learned in college, in the experience, tests, expectations, follow through. I use those qualities every day in my job. So no, am I doing chemical reactions or organic chemistry? No, I'm not. I'm not in the lab. But those hard moments where I had to study or had to understand or had to show up, all those things that I had to do while pursuing my degree, they come out every day in my work. So as far as if you're looking for nonprofit, business is definitely not a bad thing to go into. Communication, definitely great. So unless your university has specific degrees for that, broad communication business would be good too. Great question. I don't know if science, no.
Who else?
Hi, my name is Akia. Sometimes you talked about sometimes you have to tell families no. Are there other things that you can do to help that family to get them closer to that yes?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So saying no is very difficult. But yes, you can give other resources. And then that's why community partnerships are important, because you can't fully work with the group that you're supposed to work with if you're working with the group that's not even qualified. So if we had to split all our efforts, we can't serve the people we were called to serve if we're serving completely the people who aren't even in the program. So what we do is we form partnerships with other organizations that help with the reason why they were denied. For example, if it's credit, okay, if United Way has credit counseling, why would Habitat then go into credit counseling if there's already a resource? So what we do is usually point them in the right direction for them to get the help that they need so that they can then qualify. So we don't leave them hanging, but we do kind of point them in the direction. We can't hold classes for that because we're holding classes for people who actually qualify. So as painful as it is, we have to think, God, you have a path for this family, and hopefully they can come back around.
The concept of Habitat, which is a handout, not a handout, is pretty much what camp is modeled on. And you come into
Come into the program, and we have things that we can offer, but you have to show that you want it. You have to do certain things,
certain hurdles you have to cross, and then we will open the doors for you. Mr. Thompson will get up and he will tell you that's much like their early child learning center. Those
people who drop the kids off, they're going on to work. He doesn't open the doors and say, okay, anybody who wants to drop their kids off, come and drop your kids off. He takes the kids in, and he services them very well, I might add, for that day, that week, that month, that year, as long as those people are working. And they're out here and they're earning a living, and that's all he's asking for from them. But you can imagine if he just said, okay, everybody wants to drop their kids off, drop them off, and then you got people, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I would piggyback off that and say that what Habitat is, and I really didn't talk about Habitat, I was kind of going more general, but is we have resources and opportunity, but we cannot make someone take an opportunity. We just present it for them. So with Habitat, families are qualified financially, there's a need for housing, and what we call a willingness to partner, which means that they build houses, renovate other people's homes, take classes, save money, and then build their own homes. And that program's between 12 to 18 months. After that, of course, they purchase a home at 0% interest, which is a big deal. I haven't heard anywhere else where you pay exactly what it is that it costs to build a home. And so that's what we ask from families. If they're not there yet, we feel like we would be doing them a disservice by having them in the program. We don't want one family to fail. That is not our goal. We're not about, numbers matter, but we're not all about numbers. We would rather have 5 quality homes than 20 subpar homes, which means, that was 15 families that got denied. They weren't ready for the opportunity because we don't want to set them up for failure, okay? So with those people, as hard as it is, because we know we love it so much, it's kind of one of those, It's just painful, but it's like, we don't want you to get here and fail. That's not our goal either. I think there was something over there. Same question.
Same question. Good. One more. Last one.
You said in college, like, you joined a sorority, you get like the background, like on volunteer service. Any other organizations, not like particularly sororities, like you might recommend that you get the first-hand experience if you're not already volunteering or out in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So at your colleges, universities, there will be, please go up to any welcome weekend situation. There will be tables up. There, of course, are habitat groups at certain colleges. But, you can get involved in just about anything that's community service. You would go to the student union is where we would have it, and there was an actual person with a job to point you in the direction of going to serve. So there's all kinds of ways. Of course, if you guys are involved in a local church, that's a huge opportunity to give back. And that's where I got most of my hands-on opportunities, was to be in the church. And I'll tell you one thing, you have to listen to the people you work with. You really do. If I didn't hear families and what their needs were, I could never serve them properly. And so when I worked in ministry, I was living pretty much amongst the people that I would eventually serve. So I can't go to my desk and sit at my nice computer and make up policies just because my brain thinks it's necessary. You hear the people and you see what the need is. And we always say that ministry dictates structure. Our structure changes based on the need. So we're not stuck into something. Now we have our general structure, but you find the need of the people. Sometimes just being amongst people really is huge. Hearing what the need is, hearing, how their kids are struggling with school because of housing, I find out, okay, maybe we need to get schools involved more with Habitat. Maybe we need to talk to those teachers. Maybe we need to find out, what it is that they need. So always be real and always give of yourself. Be a servant first. And that's servant leadership is huge in nonprofit. There'll be a lot of opportunities to give back. Trust me, we're going to try to get every ounce of your time when you're in college. So.
Thank you, Courtney.
Sure.
Great job. A lot of lessons to be learned there, and thank you very much. Tabitha, before I forget, can we make sure that we send it out to the graduates that this session will be posted, and make sure they take a look at it on the website, okay? Okay, without further ado, Mr. Tom Thompson, J.R. Holland.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, thank you for being here, and I feel blessed to have leaders like Courtney, Mr. and Mrs. Frencherella, and the other your teachers and everybody else be there in this room, and especially with you. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Canton. I was a product of Canton City Schools. I went to the University of Akron, and I had to commute from Canton to Akron every day, come home and work to make it through college. It's just the way it was, but for me it was a great experience because it was what I had to do to get to the end point where I wanted to be, is to be a college graduate. I started out thinking I was going to go into accounting. After 1 year, I found out accounting wasn't the field I wanted to be with. I felt I needed to be around people more instead of being a technician doing that. We need accountants in all lines of work, and it's a wonderful field to be in. So please don't think that that is not anything negative. It just wasn't for me. Each of you have to find the field that hits you. I then went into the business world, and I got out of school and there was a small recession going on, and it was hard to find a job. I sold office machines for a year, and I wasn't really good at it. I'll be honest with you. And then I was fortunate enough to find another walk of life. I went to somebody who sort of mentored me, said, look for a job in the government world for a couple years, and then go out and get a real job. Well, I worked in the government world for 30 years, and then I was blessed to be in, I had a great job, and I was able to help a lot of people, but then I was able to get into the nonprofit world. I found JRC. Have any of you heard of JRC before? Any of you attended JRC, the Learning Center? Okay, okay. It's a great place. The mission of JRC is to enrich lives through educating children, engaging seniors, and strengthening community. I'll just tell you a brief little bit about what we do. As Mr. Venturella said, we educate children. We're a 5-star step up to quality early education center. You are the people who are future leaders. You know the importance of education, but I'm sure you know the importance of early education. Being teachers at the youngest point of life is critical as it is as you get older. It's really so important to have role models and teachers and anybody in the nonprofit world or the for-profit world to be role models for young people. It keeps them on the straight line in life. Way on the other end of the spectrum, we help senior citizens. People who may be in a nursing home or something, but they're better off if they can stay in their own home. And what we do is offer them the opportunity to come to a place where they can be around others who are other senior citizens during the day, and they can have a nice experience, be stimulated so they're not sitting at home watching TV or being bored, and doing exercise and having good meals and talking with people and learning about the world. I think we all learn, as Courtney said, we're learning every day of our lives. When we stop learning, I hope that's the day I stop breathing, because I know I learn, and if I'm ever said I never learned something in a day, I know I do every day. It's not even a choice about it. One of the things I want to say, a nonprofit world, in our business, just at JRC alone, I think one of the things Courtney said also about collaborating, you can't be everything to everybody. You've got to do what you can do. We, on the early education side, we have kids that come in, and it's like was stated. We take in a lot of the parents who are going to work. Our job is to help the parents so they can go to work and help afford helping their kids while their kids are learning. On the other side, it's also helping a lot of adults who need to go to work and have to take care of grandparents, and adults take care of their own parents, and spouses need help. So we're helping everybody from birth to the end of life. But you can be a teacher. You could be activity aid. You could be in a CPA. We have a CPA that works for us. We have myself, who's the executive director. We have a development director who goes out and finds grants. We have accounting assistants. We have a director of our centers, respectively. We have a person that goes out and builds wheelchair ramps for people who help them remain in their own homes. So a nonprofit world is just like any other position, and I really hesitate the word job. I hope that you never have to get a job and you can all get a career. The word career is so critical. A job is the place you go. We have to spend 1/3 of our life working, and a lot of us more in the nonprofit world, but we love it. It's a career, and it's something you really like to do. Whether it's in the nonprofit world or not, please find that career and go after it full boat. Don't stop. And take it all on every step of the way. And remember, no matter what walk of life you're in, you're going to learn from others. I learned a lot from a lot of people. I was very fortunate to have a lot of mentors as I grew and got to different positions in life. But I also learned so much from those who weren't the best of bosses. I'll be honest with you. I learned a lot of what not to do from bosses who weren't very good. So never complain about a boss. Learn from them, whether they're good, whether they may be somebody who needs improvement. Say, I don't want to be that way. I want to do it this way. But there's going to be people you love in your work, and there's people that you just have to get along with in your work. I don't say you don't like, just you have to get along with. But I think that's very important, that 1/3 of your life is going to be spent in your career or your job, whatever you choose may be. Another 1/3 is going to be sleeping, so you may as well make the best of that time. I put down on my bio that I'm a management change agent. But I tell my staff, I don't believe in change. I believe in improvement. Change can go good, change can be bad. I believe in improvement, and that's one of the key things. You're always looking to improve things. The organization that Mrs. Venturella works as our volunteer coordinator with, we had a nice place where our senior citizens were coming every day. It really was something we could have sat still and just taken that and been happy and have our senior citizens. We weren't accepting that. We wanted to make improvement. It wasn't changing it, it was improving it. We brought in all kinds of different things. We studied it, we looked around, and we made it. And a decision that I make today, it may be different 6 months or a year from now because the environment around you is different. Never think that if I made a decision 6 months ago that I can't change my mind or see something different. I think that's one of the important things when you're in a nonprofit world or any different business world. It's that you always have to be willing to improve. And change is part of improvement, but change is not the only way to look at that. I think the one thing in the nonprofit world that's so important is you gotta balance your mission versus your business sense. Again, Courtney said it very well. You can't just go into the nonprofit with a heart. You've got to use your head also, because something does not work just on your heart alone. You've got to make the good decisions. My job is to make sure children are being educated, senior citizens are working, parents are being able to go to work. If I'm not running the business as a business, we're not going to do that, even though my heart might always be in the right place. So make sure, if you're going into the business world, you're always looking to improve it. And you do have to make tough decisions every day. They can't all be, yes, this is the greatest thing in the world and we're going to do that. We have to help people, and collaborating with other partners, as was said earlier, is one of the critical things in what we do. We can't be everything to everybody, but we got to be really good at doing the things that we say we're going to do. So educating children, engaging seniors, strengthening community. That's pretty wide, but we say we're really good at doing this, and we're going to work hard to continue to do this. So we have to, I think one of the key things in the nonprofit world is working with staff. You've got to keep your staff motivated. You've got to keep your volunteers motivated. You've got to keep all those around you motivated. And your question over there about how do you ask people for support and funds, very good question. It's tough, but it's all in what you do. It's not about the ask necessarily, it's about what you've done all the way to get to that point. If you've been consistent and you've been transparent and you've been honest, people want to help you. You're doing the things for the right reasons. That's the key part in a nonprofit. And again, in any walk of life. We're talking about the nonprofit world, but it's all walks of life as far as that goes. As I said, I did go to Kansas City schools. I got a good education. I was able to compete at college and beyond with anybody. I wasn't as fortunate because I didn't take advantage of the opportunities that you're getting here today and through the camp program and other programs. I wish I had that available when I was a student. But, you know what? You can make it whatever way you want to make it. Just take advantage of every opportunity. When you go on to college, you take advantage of those opportunities that you think are best, but you can't do everything. You got to do those things that you think you're going to really excel with. Choose the right people to be around. Just like you're choosing staff at your organization, you got to choose those who are going to work towards the same common goal. If you don't do that, same way with your friends. You got to choose the people that want to come out and be in the same place you're going to be. If you choose people that are going to make you the best you can be, we're not always going to reach that objective. We can pull people up, But it's great to have everybody that's working on the same team for the same objectives. So those are one of the things. I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges of being in nonprofit leadership. Sometimes people think, you don't make any money in it. Well, if you're going in it to get rich, you probably are in the wrong field. But it's a business and you can make money like any other business. You just don't get to reap all the profits of your business successes in the nonprofit world because they're put right back into the organization to continue growing it. So that's the main difference in what that is. But a successful nonprofit can be as good as any other business you may ever want to get into. It's lonely when you're a decision maker. But you don't have to make it lonely. You've got to engage the people around you when you're making decisions. I think hopefully one of my strongest points is that I talk to all my staff when I'm ready to make a decision. The bottom line, it comes down to me making that decision as the leader. The other part is I take the responsibility if it works or not. But if you don't listen to other people inside the organization and outside the organization, your odds of being successful diminish. Because I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know everything, I don't know most things. I've got good people around me that make me look good as a leader. And that's one of the key things you do in the world, whether it's a nonprofit or not. So some of the jobs available in our nonprofit itself are, as I said earlier, we have a CPA, we contract for an IT person, we have somebody that keys in on marketing, we have a secretary, we have accounting assistants, we have managers of our respective centers, we have teachers, we have LPNs, we have activity aides. Anybody, those jobs are available in all walks of life, but they're in our nonprofit business. But one of the things I think in the nonprofit world is don't necessarily expect to start at the top. Whatever walk of life you walk into, take that position and look to improve yourself every day and move to that next position. It's stepping stones to get to the top. And if you do get to the top faster than others, you're very blessed. But I took step by step by step. And my main goal, I didn't even know it at the time, my main goal was to leave the place I left better than when I got there. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. It's not about being the hare that wins the race. The tortoise sometimes gets there, you're working every day, you're plodding along, you're getting there. Don't get frustrated in what you do. Sometimes it's challenging, but always keep your eyes open for opportunity. Within that nonprofit world, there's places to go. There's other partners that you might enjoy working with. It's not only staying with one place your entire career. Like I switched from accounting to management in college. It was the best thing I did. The degrees you need to get to the nonprofit world, I could say go in there and get anything. If you want to get to the business world and get an MBA afterwards, that's fine. But whatever you feel your area you want to get into, you can always go into management from that area. But don't just look at it as a job. If you do, you're going to keep that job maybe and stick in that job. When you look at it as a career, you're going to be moving on. That's most of what I wanted to impart to you. I'd like to see if there's any questions anybody has for me today.
DK is going to let somebody else talk. Just for a minute now. Otherwise, he's got a question. Your father has a question? Oh. He's calling you dad. He's everybody's dad. He's my dad.
Okay, I was going to say this, but what both of you said, this sparked something with us. So we went back and got an article. It's going to take me a little around time to read it, but we found an article that ties the service learning that we require our students to go ahead and do 30 service learning hours a year, and good health. So I'm going to bore you by reading a little bit. Human beings appear to be genetically engineered to be the happiest and healthiest when they spend a lot of time selflessly helping others, and unhealthy when mostly devoted to self-gratification. That's the eye-opening conclusion of the University of North Carolina researchers based on the study of 80 volunteers. The study subjects were asked how often they felt eating pleasures. This is the kind of happiness brought on by enjoying a tasty meal or buying themselves something. They were also asked how often they contributed something important to society that gave them a deeper sense of purpose. The researchers then drew the subject's blood and found that the genes of the volunteers whose lives contained lots of pleasure but little meaning were primed cells to express high levels of inflammation, which linked to cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, a weaker antiviral response to infections. Their daily activities provided short-term happiness, yet resulted in negative physical consequences in the long term. Psychophysiologist Barbara Friedrichsen tells Science Daily, people who emphasize service to others and connection to community, on the other hand, showed a pattern of gene expression linked to less inflammation and stronger immunity. There were two distinct kinds of happiness, says the study, co-author Stephen Cole, and our genes can tell the difference. So I just wanted to read that to you guys because this is one thing that Mrs. Brenner gave you guys at the beginning of the year. Gave it to the freshmen over the summertime coming into the program. But this is just phenomenal. I mean, it matters inside of you.
I think that's the greatest article there. One of the things which I failed to say, which I really wanted to say, is my attempt every week is if I don't get to my learning center or my adult day center to interact with the children and get a hug or talk to them or find something out or get to that adult day center and find out with what the seniors are doing, I don't feel complete. When I do that, it is the most rewarding job in the world because I know that's my reason for being there, to make the lives of those others better. We have so many kids. I just spoke last Thursday to a group at Nationwide Insurance for United Way, and I was talking about what we are doing at our learning center. We have Healthy Habits for Life, which we're serving 100% of the foods we're served to our children are non-processed, meaning we're giving tilapia, asparagus, avocado, all kinds of things that kids normally don't care to eat because they haven't experienced it. I had a mother stand up in the middle of the meeting and said, my child's a 3-year-old there and she's teaching us how to eat. Boy, whatever I was sharing with that group, she just made my week. It was just the most rewarding thing in the world. So, nonprofit world, which I didn't say enough about, it's the most rewarding thing you could ever have. So thank you, Mr. Berner, for saying that so I could just go on to say how rewarding the position is.
Question? Mr. Chance, DK is going to ask another question.
Like you said, making business decisions in a nonprofit organization is going to be kind of conflicting because your heart might say something that your brain is saying, well, you have to do a business side. And then you said, kind of talk to your staff and everything. How long do you wait for a decision? Like, unless it's like not a major decision, like you wait a week or maybe a few weeks to like think about it, go back and say, well, make a pros and cons list, or what all factors into like how long to wait or how much your brain or your heart is
to make a business decision, you mean?
Yeah, like even though like your heart's saying, well, you gotta help somebody else, and it's
very much. That's an excellent question. As a matter of fact, I think you look at the situation, see what you have to do. Quick decisions aren't always the best decisions. You have to study, you have to listen, you have to think about the impact. Those are the things that are important in decision making. But on the other hand, sometimes you have to react to something because it's an immediate rule change or something else that happens that we have to do that. Somebody may say, we've been doing this wrong, we have to change it, we have to implement something quickly. My best decisions are the ones that I look at, I study, I listen, and I do balance the head and the heart. And when I'm talking about balancing the head and the heart, if I say I don't have the funding to cover this need for this child or senior citizen, maybe I can go out and find a way to make that happen. That's my first way. Everything does not fit, and I'll be honest with you, everything you know is not going to be learned in a book. The books are important, they're critical. Never say they aren't. But your experiences in life are going to be just as critical when you're in the management area. And you've got to look at all sides and not say what I can't do, but say, how can I make that happen? That's the piece. And so that time gives you a way to make something happen. Or maybe, like Courtney was saying, let's get a hold of somebody else and another partner that may be able to work with us to make that happen. So I don't think I gave you a direct answer, but there's ways to do it.
Yeah, I think Tom hit on a point. So I deal with a bunch of different nonprofits, charities, most recently, or over the course of the last 3 years. United Way, Sisters of Charity, Star Community Foundation, the Timken Foundation. So what was I looking for? Okay, with the United Way, we were looking at a mentoring program for students. With the Timken Foundation, I was looking for purchasing the computers, which we received that grant. With the Star Sisters of Charity and the Star Community Foundation, 2 grants are currently in, and that's for driver's education, which we would start up for the CAMP program and try and get all early college high school students, so not just the CAMP students, because if there's a need here, there's also a need there. I forgot the other one or something. Anyway, so their decisions, Mr. and Mrs. Bruner and I just sat with the Sisters of Charity, and they were very much concerned and asking a lot of questions about our financial position as a CAST organization, not necessarily the CAMP organization, but as a CAST organization. And I guess they were looking at the financial health of the organization. Well, you know, a lot of times we just go in and say, hey, we're just a bunch of volunteers that are trying to help. And so we have a 990, I guess it is, but it's not a strength of ours because we're not out soliciting money. We're generally soliciting things that are going to help you, okay? So, and not building up a bank account or working on projects that you got to watch for structural kind of projects and things like that versus human capital, okay? So a lot of what we do is investing in human capital, which is you. Have you ever been called human capital before? Dom? Get used to it. When you go to the business world, you'll be human capital.
That is so true. When you go to organizations, they don't want to hear about just your heart.
Yeah.
They want to know that you've got a solid business plan to make what you're doing come true.
Yeah.
That's the most critical piece of it.
So, you know, there were rightful questions, for instance, the driver's ed. So where are you going to source the cars? Well, fortunately, we've had 2 or 3 instances where we've sourced the cars, but we also have places where contacts we've made which are going to allow us to buy used cars, go to auctions with them, so on and so forth. then they got to the next piece, which is, okay, who's going to do the subprime lending and the loans to buy the vehicles? So that's the key. That's a big hurdle. Don't have that totally figured out, although we figured out 3 cars already and 3 individuals. Can I figure the rest out? I have a very talented operating committee, and they have very talented boards of directors. And when we're confronted with something like this, I generally go right to the operating committee and the board, and I say, okay, I've got step 1 and 2 figured out. I don't have 3 figured out. How do we go about doing this? You would be amazed at what transpires. And that's where the business leadership and everything comes together to help us figure it out. But I wanted to hit on another point. So, which is, let's say I have a job or a car. And how do I evaluate who would be eligible for that? And who gets it, right? Huh? Me. DK says me. Well, that's a good start, because matter of fact, anybody I send in on an interview, I say, if you don't ask for the job, chances are you're not going to get it. You need to ask for the job. You go, well, I'm a little shy, I don't want to do it. No. The people on the other side of the desk, if they're interviewing you, they expect you to ask for the job. But I do it because I'm sure you're all here, and if I said, how many of you would like a job, I'm sure you would all raise your hand, right? Everybody would, right? Let me try that. Who would like a job? Okay. So, I have to make decisions. Do I want to turn anybody down? No, I don't want to turn anybody down. I like and love you all the same, no difference. But I do it strictly from a business perspective. And sometimes they have to do that. Same with choosing who gets a home and who wants it the most, okay? But not just not wanting it. Who's willing to follow all the processes, go through it. So what I look at is who's answering my calls, my emails. Who's, if I give them a project to do, are you handing me garbage in, garbage out? And you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to, look, I'm not perfect, I never was, and never will be. Just ask my wife. And she's sitting right over there, look, she's shaking her head, yes. All right, that's enough. Yeah. But I'm constantly testing. You have to get back to me. You have to learn. If you give me something that's incorrect and I give it back to you, it's no different than your education and teaching. I expect you to put time and effort into it. You have to show me, all right, more than just saying, I want it. And if you do, you're going to get a shot. You're going to get a shot at it. And I don't guarantee anybody any jobs. That's not the way it works. You have to go in, you have to interview, you have to earn that job. I can open doors. That's what I can do. And that's where the power is in opening the doors. Habitat can open the doors. JR can open the doors. And then it's a process of evaluation of, and unfortunately, would Tom like to take every single child and senior in Stark County? Yes, he would, but it doesn't work that way. He has to be selected. Would they like to build a house for everybody in this world? Yes, they absolutely would, but it doesn't work that way. At some point, you got to be selected. And so does that make sense? So when you're evaluating, so you get the heart, and then you've got who's going to be the most successful. That's a decision you got to make. And usually, as you learn your skills, and that's what this is all about too, learning those skills, it'll become, I don't want to say easier, but more evident in what you have to do. And then I was in sales, and if somebody in sales, the most successful people in sales, they've got something in their gut that tells them when something is right and something is wrong. There's an intuition, and being intuitive is a skill, but there's something there too that gives you a hint. You get this little fuzzy feeling whether it's good or bad. Anybody else, any more questions? Sure.
Something I failed to mention that's really important in nonprofit is, especially in decision making, is time is like this in nonprofit. The moment that there is a bad, I wouldn't say PR, but something that is not perceived correctly, it turns your whole organization like that. So we are always on our toes, and sometimes those decisions don't make it to the boardroom and they don't make it into the meetings. You have to turn the story very quickly. You do the best that you can, but people like to see what they see. And sometimes we have to fight the perception of other people, especially if they're looking for something negative, which because you're a nonprofit and you're asking for dollars, I feel like everybody feels like they can have an opinion about what you do. And that's just the nature of the beast. So time is of the essence, and you have to be quick, and it's experience, and over time you get there, but you have to always be on your toes. What does this look like? What does this sound like? What is perceived here? I care so much about our Habitat partner families, but in the moment that there's a negative light shed on them, it becomes greater than just that family. It becomes your whole organization. And the moment people get off the train is a moment that's really painful for your organization. So you have to do, you know why? Because what you're doing is the right thing. Sometimes those decisions come like that, and you know you have to switch a story very quickly because you got to change that perception. It becomes people's reality. Like for us, the thing I have to say all the time is, we don't give houses away. I have to say that, Habitat will say that forever. Because the perception is, oh, Habitat gives houses away to poor people. That's not it. We work with low to moderate income families and they pay for housing. But we have to constantly say that, because as soon as someone perceives otherwise, then that is the difference between them giving, them donating, them volunteering ever again maybe. So sometimes decisions are like quick like that.
Piggyback on that, we have it where we'll have people come out and say, oh, you guys provide childcare for low-income families. No, we provide quality early education for children. That's it. It's not about providing something different for low-income families, high-income families. We're providing quality early education. And you can probably see that kind of question could irritate both of us, but we'll be, you see the smoke coming out of our ears if somebody tries to ridicule or downplay the importance of what we do. We stand up for it, our volunteers stand up for it, and our community can stand up for it. But if you don't stand up for what you believe in, we're not going to be ahead.
I would say it's probably the same with you, Mr. Bruner, right? Early college provides free education, right? Maybe the moniker, and by the way, the number of people lining up, the number of students lining up to get into early college is just absolutely amazing. Mr. Bruner next year will have a graduating class of over 90. We've never dealt with numbers even that close. So the Early College Academy is growing, the Early College High School is growing. People want to get into this program. But imagine if he starts to compromise. If he starts to compromise the principles and also the hurdles to get into the school, and that starts to go down, guess what's going to happen? Those lines start to dwindle, and they start to go away. And so, yes, it's true. There's a component of free education, but it's for the ones who want it the most. And that's a campus. I feel bad I can't offer camp to every other early college, high school student, but I can't do it. I can't handle it. If I doubled my volunteers, could I handle it? Maybe. If I tripled them, maybe we could do it. I do have more jobs, and I've said this all along. I have more internships, more jobs, more places to work than I have students ready. And I'm hoping that's always the case. It's actually a good position to be in. In the next 2 weeks, I'll fill 3 more jobs. These are not just summer jobs. They've turned into people are asking us, do you have somebody? Do you have somebody? Well, because our standards are so high, and because we have a rigor here, and because we have such talented individuals, we have a demand. and that's good to have. Thank you so much. Please give them a big round of applause. This is such an integral part of CAST. CAST as an overall group. We have a mission in CAST that includes these dear people. We have a mission in camp. Kent has a mission in his school. Okay? He has service hours, which includes these dear people and the companies that they represent. And also, next year will be our first graduating class. I've already met with them. So, if you remember some of the old timers, E.J. Davinsky, and some of there, and the Montgomery twins. They're not so old, they're a couple years older than you. But that'll be the first graduating class out of college, undergrad. And I've already sat with them and told them what my expectations are. Their expectations are to come back and do service in this program. Okay? That expectation of coming back and doing service, whether it means they become part of our operating committee or they're running sessions like this, that's part of their giving back. Their ability to come back and join CAST and partner with Habitat and JRC, their abilities, many of those kids have spent hours with Mrs. V doing arts and crafts over at the JRC Center. Justine Chester, who else? Kiana. They've all worked over there and done volunteer work. So if it's in your heart, we have a place for you to do. If you want to work at it, they're telling you you can make a fine living at it. You're not going to be a billionaire, but you have a fine living. You can give back. You can satisfy your heart at the same time. So please take this into consideration. If you want to learn more about them and you don't know more about Habitat and JRC, there's plenty of volunteer opportunities. You can go down. The Habitat facility is absolutely, the new one is absolutely wonderful. We used to have our sessions there. How many of you were in when we did sessions? Yeah, it's probably a couple of years, but we outgrew it. We couldn't do the breakout sessions like we do at some of our meetings. We kind of outgrew it, but it was such a blessing when we first needed a place to go. We had a couple at Glenmore, they started to want to charge us. It was like $150, $200 for a room. Habitat came along, you know, they knocked on our door and it was absolutely wonderful. But when you go down a new Habitat facility, you will walk through a corridor that has stations. And in one area there's a kitchen, and in another area there's a bathroom. And you go along. And these are all designed to train the homeowner on how to do maintenance of their home. I mean, what a wonderful concept. What an unbelievable thing. You go out into their warehouse and they actually have walls and structures and showing you sheetrock and things taping. And it's just a wonderful thing. When you go over to JRC, and you take a look at the kids are broken up into mods, right? Age mods by ages. And it's set up in a circular fashion. And when I went over, I just walked into one age group, and you go into the class, and this is where the classroom is. But then every class has a back door. And when you go to the back door, they have an outdoor play area. But each play area is designed around whatever age group you have. And that, so the toys and the learning situation is set up for whatever age group it is, age appropriate. And it's very, very cool. You walk, so each module you go to is different as you go around, and each age group is different. It's a tremendous environment. And then the new senior center is absolutely unbelievable. I don't know if you know, but one of the major diseases of the elderly is obviously memory loss, and it's a terrible thing when it happens. It's sad, and they've opened up a new wing, which includes a memory wing. But when you think about it, certain colors are favorable to memory loss. Certain pieces of art and pictures and things like that, certain stimulus. So they've done a lot of investigating into that, and they put together a memory room, which is very, very cool. They have one, I'll tell you one quick story, they have one gentleman that's had brain damage. And so I've seen him for 3 years. I've been going over to the old JRC location. And all Bob does is walk up and down the halls. So he'll go in at 9 o'clock and leave at 3, and he's walking. He's always walking. He's walking somewhere. You'll get him to sit down, like if Mrs. B's doing a fashion show, we have a Thanksgiving dinner. You'll get him to sit put, still. But once they say, okay, it's okay to get up, Bob's walking, he's just walking, and he's not talking to anybody. Well, they got a pool table donated, and they put it in. And by the way, it was a cast member who donated the pool table and the foosball table. Bob walked in opening day last Wednesday, saw the pool table. He was on that pool table from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And I saw a video of him, and I shot a lot of pool in my day. He's good. He's very good. But that gentleman, that was a stimulus that he didn't have for the last 3 years, and who would have known, until we did that. But so the gratification from that. But if you want to get involved, you want to see some of this, and you're like questioning, hey, what do I do? Some volunteer work and some mission work and some good things from my heart, and get to know it. This is 2 great places to do it. So thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Mrs. Bruner's got a little something for you. Good. Okay.
Okay, when you open that up, I just want to spell out some of the things that are in there. You can go ahead. We have the, not only the early college, high school bag. We also have the folder in there, a brand new folder that we've given to the freshmen. And inside that, just information about early college that you can go ahead and pass on, so now you have a point of reference. You also have the calendar tracker from Stark State or Partner School. The little booklet that's in there, we call it the Early College High School Magazine. It's a quick sort of guide as to all the things that we offer, what we're about, things like that. Have some other leaflets about our beginnings. Inside there you have pencil and pen when you open up the zipper part in the front. And then also you have our official candy, and that's the Smarties that are in there. So again, thank you very much for coming and presenting to our group.
Mrs. Bruner's got a couple of miscellaneous things, and also I need to see DK and Rachel afterwards, if you wouldn't mind sticking around. Mrs. Bruner.
Hello everyone, thank you all for being here today. The first thing I want to go over with everybody is to make sure my web team folks, I need to meet with you and the people that I asked to be our holiday folks to help plan our holiday celebration. If y'all can meet right over in this area, I would appreciate it. It's going to be for about 10-15 minutes, I won't keep you long. Also, the students that have been asking about the computers, we're going to get computers to you, okay? Those computers are going to be ready Monday, September 26th, that whole week till the 30th. I'll be available after school from 2:30 to 4:30. You can meet me right here in the Commons. My office is actually that room right there where Dora is. But you can come in there and meet me, and we will,
Who needs a computer?
I have several. Yeah.
Raise your hand. Hi.
Yeah, there's several of them. Yeah. So we'll get you all squared away. Another thing I wanted to kind of connect with our people that have computers. You were saying that your Microsoft has expired. If you use your Start State email, you can reactivate it. So just make sure a lot of you already have your Start State email. Just do that, it'll reactivate your Microsoft Word, okay? Other than that, I think, let me go over anything else.
The additional gift. The additional gift.
If you check, there's an envelope in your bags too. Don't bypass the envelope. Okay, thank you. Yes, don't throw it out. Okay, also, we have quite a few students who have been really interested in the camp program, and I already am up to 10. So I have packets that I have prepared, just as I did last year, and those students will be interviewed real soon. So we have students that are eager to be in the program. We want all of you to have that same eagerness and want for it as well, and to stay in the program. So I'm just letting you know we have a lot of folks coming in, so make sure you keep your place, okay? Because we want to see all your faces here along with those, and y'all can tell them, hey, what a great program you're a part of, and see if you get more people, okay? So we're going to have those kids, we're going to be looking at next week. So we're looking forward to it, okay? I want y'all to tell all your friends and everybody, hey, this is a good thing, and please encourage them. That's it.
I think through this fall and winter is a good time for whoever does not have a profile. We should start working on it. So raise your hand if you do not have a formal profile. Okay, so I think what we should do, Ms. Bruna, okay, Mr. Bruno's going to come around and get some names. What we do is we'll send you out a blank profile. We'll also send you out 2 or 3 examples. So let's say you get an example from Kayla Ganeri, Justine Chester, and E.J. Dubinsky, okay? And that'll give you the format for you to use. So this is an open book test. And you fill out the profile. You give the profile back into myself and Mrs. Bruna, and we may go 2 or 3 rounds to make corrections, additions. We expand on certain areas, we'll contract on certain areas, and we fit it on one page. So we also make sure that you know, it looks nice. Those go in the database, they're in the file, and they're constantly updated based on new jobs. If you get a new job, it's up to you to say, hey, I need to update that, and when you feel it's time, go ahead and make the updates. Jacob, if you haven't updated your Freshmark experience, I suggest you do that. Get it into me. You should always have an updated profile or resume. Now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Whatever you're doing, do not get caught without an updated resume or profile. After something happens, it's not the time to say, oh, I need to do a resume. You can't imagine how many students I'm dealing with right now. I'm dealing with a young man right now who just graduated from college. And I said, do you have a resume you can send me? He says, I'm working on that now. And then I get it, and it's a disaster. So you have a great opportunity here to start this process right now. Then when you graduate, when you graduate high school, we'll take you to the next level, and we'll shoot you the resumes of EJ, Megan, Hannah, Justine, and maybe some other examples of full-blown business resumes. Okay, the profiles are good enough for our jobs, good enough for our internships, apprenticeships that we do. When you're ready to graduate high school and get into college, you're going to need full-blown resumes, and those take a little bit different approach, okay? But you'll want to do that. Now, once you learn how to do it, you'll never question how to do it again. You'll have it. Believe me, people pay a lot of money, bless you. I probably, if I went online, I probably could make $150 a resume if I would like to make some money on it. And that may be on the low side. It used to be that much. I don't know how much it is now, but people do that for a living. So take advantage of that, okay? And then keep in mind, I mean, I'll use Kayla Ganeri as an example, but Kayla Ganeri, when I sat with her about 2 years ago, And I said, Kayla, you're doing unbelievable in school, you're doing great, we need to start to get you some work. She says, I agree. I said, well, are you willing to do anything? She said, yes. The job that came up was housekeeping in Glenmore. So she actually worked in housekeeping. Towels, linens, I'm trying to think, was it, who was it that rode up in the elevator with Tiger Woods? He stays there when he plays Firestone. Because I got a call. Is it Justine or Kiana? Kiana. I got a call from Kiana. Mr. D, guess what? I just rode up in the elevator with Tiger Woods. It's not a great benefit. Anyway, the most important thing was a job. She worked there for about 7 or 8 months. The next job that she got was at Freshmark, and she was in finance or accounting, okay? She spent a summer there. Last summer she was at Timken, full-blown apprenticeship in engineering. So that all happened over about a 1.5 to 2 year period. But that's a progression. That's a natural progression in camp. To shoot right up and go right into Timken or Goodyear or Smucker or some of the blue chip apprenticeships we have Freshmark. Usually you've got to show us that you're willing to put in the time and the effort and learn. So I bring that up as an example. You'll see many of them, whether it's Jack Pearson. I'll use Jacob Caddy program. Habitat for Humanity, Freshmark, correct? And so now Jacob will be going off to college next year, and we'll see where that brings us. He could be in Goodyear, he could be in Timken, he could be in Smucker or something like that. Daniel Tessu, Kitchen in Glenmore, Caddy, Kitchen in Glenmore. Where did Daniel go after that? Or left? Anyway, he's at West Medical right now, giving flu shots, studying for nursing, things like that. So that's what you can expect if you stick with the program. Okay? If you're not, to Mrs. Bruner's point, we have, I think, 6 or 8 that want a fast track right now for the program. And then in February, we'll be doing our interview process. We'll probably interview another 30. So whoever wants it and wants it, is willing to put in the time and the effort. Mackenzie has been in this program since she was in 8th grade. Right, Mackenzie? We took 5 students from 8th grade. I think yourself and Jack Pearson. I can't even remember the other students, but I do remember you two. And maybe the other 3 did not make it, I'm not sure. But you stuck this out, and now it's starting to pay off, right? Thank you so much for spending Sunday with us. I hope you had a great learning experience today.